All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast. Now, the new trend around Major League Baseball is for teams to lock up their young superstar players to mega contract extensions long before they hit free agency. Recently, the San Diego Padres gave All Star shortstop Fernando Tatis Jr. a 14-year extension for $340 million. Earlier this year, the Washington Nationals traded All Star outfielder Juan Soto to the Padres after he turned down a 15-year deal that would have paid him more than $400 million. And this week, the Seattle Mariners just gave All Star outfielder Julio Rodriguez a massive extension that could max out at close to $470 million when it's all said and done. Now, Rodriguez is in the midst of a strong rookie campaign as he could get the M's their second American League Rookie of the Year in the last 3 years. So far this season, entering play today, Rodriguez, is batting 267 with 20 home runs, 64 runs batted in, and 23 stolen bases. And Rodriguez is a big part of the reason that the Mariners are poised to end their postseason drought, which dates all the way back to 2001. Now, Rodriguez is only a rookie, so why give him the extension now? You know, it's one of those, it's like the pros and cons of it. You look at it, okay, you get Rodriguez now, you get him taken care of, and when it's all said and done, his deal actually could be on the cheap compared to what you would have to pay him when he hits free agency. At the same time, it's one of those where you could say, hey, you know what? You could sit back for a couple of years and make this youngster earn it. You look at what happened with the San Diego Padres, and they just gave a boatload of money to Fernando Tatis Jr. And of course, there are accelerators there. The contract will go up for the throughout the majority of his deal, but nonetheless, you figure number one, he did not play at all this season for the Padres. First, the motorcycle accident with the fractured wrist that put him on the shelf, and then the failed drug test for PEDS that's going to shelve him even more. So if you're the Padres, you're not getting anything from what you after you invested so much in this youngster. Now, to the Mariners' credit, they have protected themselves. There are, options for the team. There are options for Rodriguez as well in this deal, but nonetheless, I think it's something that will definitely benefit Seattle. It will also benefit Julio Rodriguez, and I think it's important for this Mariners franchise, as well as baseball as a whole in the Pacific Northwest, because you think about the Seattle Mariners. Aside from their long postseason drought, this is an organization that needs star power. You think back to when Felix Hernandez was in his prime, and every fifth day out there in Seattle when he took the mound, there were people that wanted to see him pitch. But you think about when Ichiro played, and then of course when the great King Griffey Jr. Played for the Seattle Mariners. You know that was something that was really captivating, made a lot of people want to come to the park and support this club. And, hopefully Julio Rodriguez can find himself in that mix as well. Now, of course, there's always the potential where you could see a team, trade, one of these star players who they've given these mega deals to when the real money kicks in, a la what the Miami Marlins did with Giancarlo Stanton. And I said it at the time when the Padres gave Tatis that big money. Wouldn't be surprised at some point that they trade him when that big money does kick in. But at least in the case for the Mariners, they have protected themselves more with some options throughout that contract. Now, for me, big money to the youngsters, it's a risk. But honestly, regardless if you give the money to a youngster or seasoned vet, it's still a risk because we've seen throughout in baseball, regardless if it's baseball or even other sports, where sometimes the guys get the big bread, and then they don't perform to what they were prior to getting that big money. So yeah, there's a risk, but you know what? To me, I think this is another way for teams to be able to somewhat neutralize the big market teams from coming in and swooping in with a bag of money during free agency. So it's going to be interesting to see how this works out going forward for the Mariners and Julio Rodriguez. We've seen teams in the past lock up, youngsters to big deals, but never to this extent. One deal that comes to mind is Evan Longoria not too long after he came up with the Tampa Bay Rays, and it really turned heads when Tampa committed to him long term, but they got him on the cheap. He spent the bulk of his prime with Tampa Bay, and of course, he's now at the San Francisco Giants, but he's no longer the player that he was during his days with the Rays, and that's no offense to him because if you go back to what Longoria was, he was one of the better players in. Expect this trend to go away anytime soon because this is a way for team owners to get more bang for their buck, so to speak, and they're going to continue to do it. I mean, especially, there's language in the CBA for a lot of different things. And, these guys are shrewd, they're businessmen, and they're going to take advantage of it to the best of their respective ability. So, Julio Rodriguez is a phenom. He is a guy that can definitely bring people to the park out there in Seattle. The Mariners currently find themselves in the midst of a postseason chase, and it's looking good for them right now as far as ending that drought. And they've taken care of their youngster. The Mariners, they have some talent in their system. They're bringing it up. And getting a guy like Rodriguez taken care of this early in the game is big for all parties involved. And in this case, I don't think he slows down in regards to his productivity. And I think he's only going to get better. So kudos to the Mariners. And the bottom line is teams want to take care of their guys and they want to keep them under their control, so to speak. We also seen them with the Atlanta Braves, locking up a lot of their young talent from their World Series championship team last year. So this is the way of the future and the present in Major League Baseball. It's all about the game, and you have to know how to maneuver it to the best of your ability. And this is what the Mariners did in taking care of Julio Rodriguez. So, folks, that is going to wrap it up. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. I want to take this time out to thank all of you fine folks out there for tuning in. And if you have not already, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. Now, if you are on Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it'll be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. You can check it out, drop a line, and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. So, once again, fine folks, my name is William Martin. I am signing off, saying take care and have yourselves a wonderful day.